Number 41 on chapter 7 asks you to re-express the data. So I'm going to do an example here, and I'll start with GeoGebra and finish with Fathom. And also I'll show you a little bit more about where you start with GeoGebra. If you click on View, you can look at a spreadsheet, and I can type in labels here, shutter speed and f-stop. I don't really need the algebra view, actually. And in the book, I can just type in the values 1 over 1,000, 1 over 500, 1 over 250, 1 over 125, 1 over 60, 1 over 30, 1 over 15, and 1 over 8. And notice that these all look like zeros. Well, I can go to options, rounding, and look for 3 decimal places, and there you go. Now we're seeing things a little better. And in this case, the f-stops were 2.8, 4. I realize this takes a little bit of time, but I want you to have a reference in terms of how to begin. So here we go. So now I have some data and I want to analyze it. So I highlight the 2 columns and I come over to 2 variable, and it says column A and column B, and I say analyze, and it opens another window when we're going into this, and this is a curved pattern. Well, suppose I want it to be straight. Now there's different things you can try. You might recognize that this looks like a square root. So let's see what happens if we square the f-stop. So very much like Excel or other spreadsheets, I can type a formula in here. I can say equals, and then I want to do B2, and I want to square it. So caret squared. So if I square that, and then if you just drag this down, it should copy that formula all the way. If I click in this cell, I guess that's where if I had the algebra, it would show that C equals the square. Anyway, so now let me do a 2 variable analysis again. Whoops. And if you notice right now it's column A, column B, and column B. So if I go over here, if I click on the hand, it changed it to column A. And if I click on column C and change that, it'll change it to column C. How did I get this? And then let me see what happens. I haven't figured this out entirely, but I'm playing around with the hand. I don't know why it still says column B, but column C, but notice I am getting shutter speed. So now if I ask it to analyze shutter speed and the square, I get a linear regression. And we're going to talk more about what you do with this when once you've got it re-expressed. That's chapter 10, I believe. So I think also this is handy because you can do this from GeoGebra to Fathom, but I don't think you can do this from Fathom to GeoGebra. Oh, and by the way, if you right-click on this, you can copy it to the graphics view, and now that's in your big window, which can be kind of nice. So what I'm going to do is I don't feel like typing this data over again, so actually I can shift and copy, and then if I open up a Fathom file, the thing to do is to drag down a collection, right-click on the collection, and since it knows you have something copied, you can paste the cases, and then when you drag down the table, there's that data right in there, which is great. Sometimes you might want to log the data. And in Fathom, what you do is you have to click on the title and hit Edit Formula, and then it's already knows it's an equal. So here you would just type in log. I believe that's what question number. And notice when you type f-stop, it has to agree with the title that you wrote. It's in purple, so it knows it's going to reference that column. And then if you hit return, that's the log of all those values. Remember, log is 10 to the what? So 10 to the 0.44 is 2.8. That makes sense. Notice that 10 to the 1.04 is about 11. Sure, that makes sense. So when you're in GeoGebra, it works a little bit more like a spreadsheet in terms of you type the equation in the cell. When you're in Fathom, you highlight the title and edit the formula. For example, here, let me do the square. If I wanted to make it the square, I'd edit formula, and I would hit f-stop and then caret squared. And there's those squares just like we see over here. And then again, if you were going to graph this, kind of, again, the cool part about Fathom is sometimes I think it's just a lot easier. So here's my, whoops, here's my shutter speed. And now that I have all these, I can play around. There's what f-stop looks like. Suppose I want the log. Ooh, the log makes it look worse, right? And suppose I want the square. Yeah, so that's how you do all that.